All right, good evening, Dr. McFarland and Crowley ISD. How's everyone doing tonight?
All right, doing great.
Wonderful. We have more than 40 people logged on right now. We have a few more still coming, and they'll be coming in throughout the evening. So I want to thank you for taking time to join us for tonight's presentation about our upcoming bond election and just the state of the district, the growth that we're seeing, not only in our student enrollment, but also in our academics. Dr. McFarland has some exciting news to report with everyone tonight.
Absolutely. Definitely looking forward to really to sharing this information with this group, and then also, entertaining questions. Our goal is really to educate and to make sure that we all are proceeding forward with where Crowley ISD is today and where we're headed for the future. So thank you all, as Kirsten said, for being on the Zoom today. We look forward to jumping into a engaging conversation.
We have a short video here to watch to just talk about who Crowley ISD is and the things you're seeing across our district that are happening in our campuses. Y'all watch this video.
If you think you really know Crowley ISD, think again.
Because this.
And this is Crowley ISD. Crowley Pride? All right.
We are growing. Enrollment is climbing higher than ever before, with as many as 22,000 students expected in Crowley ISD in the next decade. We are 55 square miles. Our district is larger than you may think, stretching beyond Chisholm Trail Parkway and I-20 with 26 campuses. We are diverse. Diversity is our superpower. We're stronger because we embrace students of all backgrounds. We are high performing. Our scores have soared to new heights, and we have our sights set on being the top in Tarrant County. We are full of choices and opportunities. Our students will be prepared to create, innovate, and dominate no matter what path they take in the future. We offer more than just a diploma in Crowley ISD. We are family. In Crowley ISD, all means all, and we welcome all students into our family because every child deserves a high-quality education.
Because this is Crowley ISD.
This.
This is Crowley ISD.
All right, so I love to see that video, and when we see that video, it really captures who we are as a district. We're made up of a lot of different people with different characteristics, different unique qualities, but we all together represent Crowley ISD. And so before we get started, what I like to know is who really is on the line. And so if Kirsten, I don't know if there's a way for us to be able to see this, or maybe you can call it out, but if you're a parent, just put your category. If you're a parent or a teacher or a community member or some other kind of stakeholder, whether it's a business owner or ministerial leader or just a concerned citizen, why don't you drop in the chat? Let me know who is on the call tonight, and I want to know who I'm talking to so I can make sure that we give you what you need. Let's take a couple minutes to just drop in the chat. Which category would you be a part of? Or which category are you a part of? And Kirsten, just kind of read them out if you see them popping in there, so we'll see who we're talking to tonight.
Absolutely. So our first responder was Jason R. He's a parent. Michelle Tate, parent.
All right.
Parents at North Crowley. Lots of parents. June Davis. Parents. Dr. Pignon says we sure have the smartest and cutest kids in Crowley ISD.
Absolutely.
Oh, here's Ms. Hong, a teacher.
All right.
A special ed teacher and a parent.
Awesome.
Parent of 3 at Summer Creek. So lots of parents on tonight. That's great.
Hey, that's definitely good. It's good to know that we are reaching our parents, because we recognize that that we educate, and we really have in our care your most prized possession. And so we first of all, from the superintendent standpoint and the district and the board, we appreciate you trusting us enough to be able to educate your child, make sure they're safe, and ensure that they're prepared for the future. So thank you, parents, for being here tonight. And so we'll try to make sure that we tailor these questions, tailor this information directly to parents. And I know there are others on there, but I want to make sure I'm speaking to parents. Because one of the things, parents, what we know is that you also are connected with other parents. So we hope that by the end that you have information that you can then go out and share about what's happening in Crowley ISD. All right, so we'll jump in. What we hope to do tonight is just to give you really more details about who we are as a district, our demographics, our makeup, but also I want you to know what we aspire to achieve, like what's our aspiration, what's our big hairy goal that we're searching for. And I want you to know that, and we'd love to get some feedback on that. Share with you how we're doing, how we've done in the past. Many of you know that next week we'll have a STAR assessments. We'll start our STAR assessments for the 23 school year, but I want to show you what we've done even up to now. And then the last part, which is really the most important part, it's okay to know where we've been, and it's okay to know where we are. But I know if you're like me and you're a parent, you want to know as much as you can about what we're doing to prepare your kid and prepare our district for the future. And so we plan to also do that tonight. If there are other questions that you have, what I'd like you to do is drop those questions in the chat, and Kirsten may have some more specific details, but if there are other general questions that you have that you want to learn about tonight, just go ahead and drop that in the chat. Let's take about 30 seconds, Kirsten, and let me just start off with just allowing you all drop your questions in the chat. What do you want to gain out of tonight? Let's take about 30 seconds, give you an opportunity to do that.
That's right there. There's that Q&A box icon down along the bottom, or on your phone. It may be there on the side, and we'll capture all those questions and make sure they're addressed this evening. Mr. Barrick, thank you for that question.
All right, so as you're dropping, just continue to drop the questions. We will be monitoring those, and Kirsten will stop me at any point in time when you think it's a good time for us to address those questions. So the first one is, who are we? So what I want to tell you is that several months ago, this slide would have been accurate. It actually was accurate. We had 16,915 students several months ago. Well, today, we actually had the awesome opportunity to actually take a picture of the 17,000 actually enrolled student in our district. 2 students actually came in from New Orleans. Their grandmother transferred them here with us, and so we're now for enrolled students over 17,000. Now that's enrolled. We also have another 200 or 300 that are actually in the process of being enrolled. So our overall population is really right around 17,300 today. And so it is growing significantly, as you can tell, if you look at the difference between 16,915, which is where we were end of December, 1st of January, and to be at 17,000, almost 300 now, is a significant growth. 26 campuses and 55 square miles. And so before you go to the next slide, Kirsten, I want to ask a couple questions. If I were to, I'm going to give you three locations in Tarrant County that you're familiar with, and I want you to tell me which one of these locations would not be in Crowley ISD. All right, so we got 3 locations. Here's the first location. Location number 1, Hewlin Mall. Location number 2, Benbrook Lake. Location number 3, the Amazon warehouse on 35. I'm gonna give you more. I'm gonna give you 4. And then location number 4, Sundance Square. All right, so drop it in the chat. Which one of those 4 are not within the boundaries of Crowley ISD? So you get Hewlin Mall, Benbrook Lake, the Amazon plant off 35, and Sundance Square.
Someone guessed the lake.
All right. Somebody guessed that Benbrook Lake is not. Okay. All right.
Hewlin Mall, a couple of Sundance Squares coming in. Benbrook Lake, Sundance.
All right. So here's the reality. All of those properties are in Crowley ISD boundary except Sundance Square. And so that is important because it's important to know that we are like 55 square miles. And our district goes from the Amazon plant on 35, which is actually across 35, all the way to Benbrook Lake. And actually, there's a line right down the middle of Benbrook Lake. And so that's where Crowley ISD boundary stops. And so it's important to know that we're extremely large district, landmass, 55 square miles. But even beyond that, we're extremely diverse district. We have multi-million-dollar homes, and then we have other areas where we know the situation is different. And the thing that we're excited about, it is in Crowley ISD where we get the opportunity to educate them all. We educate all children, and we think we do a pretty good job, and we're working to even do better, all right? So let's look at the next slide. So when we look at our demographics, there are 63 different languages that are spoken in Crowley ISD. That means when students go home, there are 63 different languages that are being spoken in the student's home. And so what that means is that really puts a significant challenge and opportunity, provides us with an opportunity in our district to not only address those literacy needs of our students, but to also tap into the talent and the culture and the asset that those different cultures bring to our district. And what it says is that if your kid is enrolled in our district, they're going to be able to come in contact with students from all different cultures, which is going to help them to be much more productive when they enter into the real world. Our demographic breakdown, as you can see, we have all populations represented, but the one that is most significant that I want to really spend some time talking about is, and I say most significant because it's most significant in how it impacts our systems, and that is the 77% economically disadvantaged. What that number really says is that if we were to line up 10 kids up, 8 of those 10 students would depend on the schools for a large portion of what they need in order to be successful. That means they are school dependent. So we're saying 77%, almost 80% of our students are school dependent. That means they have parents that care a lot about what they're doing, but they may not have the disposable income, they may not have the disposable time, or even the knowledge base in order to do those other things outside of what normally happens. And so as a school, we have to do more. We have to operate in place of the parent. And this shows you that our kids depend on us, our students depend on us. And it means that as a district, we have to have systems, programs, and practices that are designed to address the needs of these students. And so we're excited about that. We don't use it as an excuse, but we do say that it's a reality for our teachers and for our campuses. All right, and so diversity is critical. You know, diversity is more than race. Diversity is more than Black, white, Hispanic, Asian. Diversity is really about the culture and just the different experiences that kids have growing up. They bring into our schools, and we're able to benefit and ensure that all of our kids benefit from them. So we are proud of our diversity in Crowley ISD. So just to talk to you a little bit more about our enrollment trend, because it's important for us to know that, you know, it wasn't long ago that we had right at 14,000, almost 15,000 students. And we've gone in a very short period of time from 15,000 students to over 17,000 today. And that's important to know. What's even more important is to understand that it takes us about 14 to 18 months to build a school. And what we know is when we look at our next chart, you'll see that although we're 17,000 today in 2023, we're expected to be over 20,000 by 2028. And so that is a significant growth over the next few years. And so we know that if that growth occurs, then we are going to be significantly stretched and significantly challenged to make sure that we're able to educate them in our current facilities. Again, you can see, if you see these 3 lines, the red line just indicates a very aggressive growth estimate. And these projections actually come from our demographer. They give us these projections, and this gives us an indication of how many students we'll be educating. And normally we have been in the past along the green line, which is a low growth, low scenario. The blue line is moderate, and the red line is high. And so if you look at the 2023, you'll see that they anticipated us to be at 16,600, and we well above that already. And so what we know is we're above the red line. The reason why that's important is that, again, as we are growing, then we have to address capacity issues within our buildings Several of our elementary schools across the board, just about all of them are pretty much closed as it relates to accepting new students, just because we are at capacity. If you have children in schools, then you know that it is getting tight within our buildings. And so what we know is that growth is steadily occurring, and so we'll have to address that. All right. And Kirsten, if you see any questions that I need to answer, just jump in and let me know, and I'll definitely be willing to do that. So our mission in Crowley ISD, you hear us talk about this, but our mission is to ensure excellence in education for all students so that all students achieve their full potential. In everything we do, we ask ourselves, does all mean all of our children? Or does it just mean the children that are within our normal program? Or does it mean just the children with our gifted program? Or does it just mean the children in our special ed program? Or the children in our bilingual program? Or does it really mean all? And what we believe is that all means all. And so we will always kind of look at what we're attempting to do through the lens of all to make sure that all of our kids are being impacted by the work that we do. And so the question is, so what do we aspire to accomplish? And so our goal, quite frankly, is to be the top performing district in Tarrant County. And so the question is always, so how are we doing right now? Let's look at that. Right now, we have 100% of our schools, that's all of our students, all of our schools have met or exceeded our state standards. Now, all of our elementary schools and all of our high schools are A's or B's. And so we're excited about that. That's not something that many districts can say. There's not very many that I know of that can say that, but we can say that all of our schools are A's or B's if they're elementary schools or high schools. Our middle schools right now they've met standard, but we know we have some work to do with our middle schools, and that's really what we're working on right now. The distinctions occur when the state looks at your performance and they compare your performance to other districts that are like you. And if you achieve at the high level, then you get a distinction. We achieved 30 distinctions in 13 schools. They performed at the highest level within their group. And so what that says is that we have some high quality systems in place, and we're performing at the highest level when compared with others across the state. So we're excited about that. We're proud of that. We're not satisfied, we're not done, but we're definitely on the right track. And another thing that indicates that is, what happens is once we have all of our assessments taken across our district, it is a compilation that occurs and we have a score, a district rating. In 2018, the district rating was a 70, it was a C. We made significant growth in 2019 up to 83, and then again, even after the pandemic, we made significant growth to 85, and what we are right now, we're at 85. And so what we know is that is a significant, our goal is to be an 8. Our goal is to be the top in Tarrant County, and we are on our way to do that. We feel like that is possible in a very short period of time. And so you heard me say top of Tarrant County. And so what we've done is we've identified districts that are similar to Crowley ISD, or that share a boundary with Crowley ISD, or some other kind of characteristic they share. Mansfield, Grand Prairie, Everman, Burleson, Fort Worth, those are ones just off the top that we have. Arlington, these are districts that we're comparing ourselves against, or benchmarking ourselves against. And so in 2018, if you look at this chart, if you look at under 2018, you'll see the yellow line represents Crowley ISD. There was actually a 20-point gap. We were in 7th place. You don't see the other schools on there, but we were in 7th place. We were at the bottom of our cohort. There was a 20-point gap. Today, in 2022, as a result of last year's assessment, there was only a 3-point gap between Crowley ISD and the top performing and the #1 spot in our cohort. And so we know that we're headed in the right direction. The slope of the line tells us that. And so we're excited about the progress that we've made. And we realized that our goal was to be the top in Tarrant County by 2025. That was a goal that we set in 2017. So we believe that we can get to the top in Tarrant County and be #1 by 2025, if not before. That is our goal. You know, when I talked earlier about economically disadvantaged. And so there's one thing to compare yourself against the economically disadvantaged cohorts, but it's another when we compare ourselves against those that are economically advantaged. Meaning we're comparing our kids, not just against similar districts, but I want to compare them against those districts that have the advantages. And even when you look at that, you see the gap was 19 points or 18 points, and it ended up being 1 point at the end. And so all this signifies to us is that right systems, right programs, right practices, and the right people working on the right things, our kids can perform at high levels. And we see that that's occurring. Again, one of the things is, though, it's just more than about kids scoring high on a star. We want to make sure that when they graduate, when they leave us, they are college, career, and military ready. And so what we know is that that is the metric. Like, I want my kids to be able to go and be successful in the real world, to create a job, get a job, or to continue on with their education. That's what we want for all of our kids. And so when we look at the top district in Tarrant County is Aledo. They're at 93, we're at 91. So we're not far off. And what we know is that there are some things that we are putting in place. Many of you parents have heard about T3, which is a system that we have to make sure that when kids get into 6th grade, that they're already on track to make that leap and learn information. And so there are other systems we're putting in place to make sure that we move this number forward to be the top. All right. And so again, our graduation rate is 96%. That's higher than the state, one of the highest in the area, and over $19 million in scholarships. We want to make sure when our kids leave us that they have more than a diploma, that they have a scholarship and college credit, and really they have a head start on their career pathway. And so I wanted to share that information with you just at a very high level so that you understand who we are, what we're aspiring to do, and really what we've accomplished up to this point. So now the question is, how are we preparing for the future? You heard me say we're going to have 20,000 by 2028. And the reality is we can't continue on as we are and assume that what we're doing is going to be enough in order to take care of what's coming in the future. We know that there are more children. We know that there are challenges and there are things that we need to do right now to prepare for what's coming in the future. So let's look at what we use in order to do that. Or let's look at this presentation first. This presentation is actually a plan that the community has put together that will help us from a facility standpoint address the challenges that we'll have coming forward. Let's watch this video.
Driving through Crowley ISD, it's hard to miss the new rooftops, new businesses, and economic development projects meeting the needs of our growing community. Hundreds of new families are choosing Crowley ISD for its desirable location, commitment to diversity, and academic success. To put it simply, Crowley ISD is growing in both size and opportunities for students. Excitement and energy fill our schools as more students explore their passions with a laser focus on excellence in academics, arts, athletics, and real-world applications. Today, Crowley ISD serves nearly 17,000 students. With over 22,000 planned residential lots, the district is projected to exceed 20,000 students by 2028. After successful completion of all 2007 bond projects, the district secured an updated demographic report, a new facility condition study, and campus capacity reports. As a result, the Board of Trustees commissioned a long-range facility planning committee to study the data and collaborate on the best ways to serve current and future students. This past fall, a committee of passionate parents, grandparents, educators, business leaders, taxpayers, and most importantly, students, met to analyze the most urgent needs of our district. They studied current facilities, reviewed demographics, dove into district finances, and considered ways to best prepare for growth. In the end, the Long-Range Facility Planning Committee recommended a comprehensive bond package to serve a growing student body. The Board of Trustees accepted the recommendation and called a May bond that includes 3 propositions. If approved, the bond package will help manage the growth in student enrollment, maintain and improve safety and security district-wide, and will impact every student at every school within Crowley ISD. In Proposition A, voters will find 3 new elementary schools, 1 new middle school, a replacement campus at Crowley High School, a new Crowley Collegiate Academy P-Tech Global Prep facility, renovations to the Bill R. Johnson Career and Technical Education Center, a student support hub and family resource center to include all alternative education programs, a new satellite transportation facility, district-wide facility additions and renovations, and technology infrastructure designed to improve the district's network speed, reliability, and security. In a separate Proposition B, voters will find an inclusive outdoor learning center designed for children with special needs, as well as a track and field complex. And finally, Proposition C includes 2 projects: a new performing arts center for district and community use, and an innovative learning center. Overall, the bond election is a long-term comprehensive plan to manage the fast growth of our student population. A commitment to sound financial management, along with growth in the overall tax base, will allow the proposed projects to be completed while maintaining the current tax rate. That means this bond will result in no property tax rate increase. Early voting takes place from Monday, April 24th to Tuesday, May 2nd. Election Day is Saturday, May 6th. Voters will have the opportunity to vote on Propositions A, B, and C, and do not have to choose between the 3. Please contact us if you have any questions or need more information, or visit crowleyisdtx.org/bond23 to learn more.
All right, definitely want to thank the communication team for pulling that together, and we'll go in detail with the bond project. And I see several really good questions. Continue to put those questions in the chat, because I definitely want to have a conversation with you, and our goal is to answer every question that we possibly can. This next chart kind of gives you an understanding and an idea, or maybe a visual picture of what's occurring in our area. And I'll give you an opportunity to fix your eyes to the chart. And so just to explain it, if you look at the table on my left, or your left, looking at the screen, you'll see that it has the 25 districts in North Texas, and it has the districts ranked by the number of starts of new home constructions, and also the number of closing. Also, if you look at the chart over to the right, you'll see it's a heat map. And where you see the yellow and you see the red and then the yellow, that represents where homes are being built, and there's a high concentration. And the higher the concentration, the more yellow it is. The red is not as intense as the yellow. So anyway, when you see that, what this chart says is that Crowley ISD is the 8th fastest growing district in the DFW area. And the question I have, and I want you to drop the answer in the chat, is what number are we for districts that are in Tarrant County, and actually districts that are in the southern Tarrant County area? Kirsten, when you see the right answer, let me know. I can't see the chat. So what number are we in the southern Tarrant County area?
No. Someone said number 1.
All right, whoever said that is absolutely right. We are the fastest growing in this area. Like we're ahead of Mansfield and all the rest of them that are in this area. Although they're growing, Mansfield's growing, Midlothian's growing, others are growing, but we are still the fastest on this list. We're the only one on the south side of Tarrant County. And so what that tells us, and you all know this, you all see it when we drive around, but people are moving to this area, and there are new homes being built, and actually new homes being built and homes being closed on at a very significant level.
Was Michelle Tate got that one right? Congratulations, Ms. Tate.
All right, Ms. Tate. Another chart that we use from our demographer, every quarter the demographer gives us a report on what's occurring as far as development and growth in our area. And so everywhere you see a shade of a color, whether it's yellow, purple, whatever color it is, blue, whatever it is a piece of property or a neighborhood that is under development. It's either in process or it's in different phases of development, but it's planned by 2028. These are all will be over 20,000, resulting in over 20,000 kids for our district. Now, what this chart shows, though, is that there are 22,193 combined in process or planned single-family residential lots. These are single-family. These are not including apartments and multifamily places. These are single families. And so what that tells us is that we have a significant growth that's occurring in our area and a significant opportunity for our students, for our school district. And consequently, we have to prepare for them, because if they build in our zone, then we have to educate them within our district, within our public school system. And so we want to make sure we have the capacity to do that. A couple pictures I wanted to just share with you. One of the questions could be like, why are we doing this? Well, if you just drive around or if you fly around, these are aerial views of our district, and you see the homes, but you also see a lot of the open space. And a lot of the open space, there are plans for homes to be in that area. So what we know is that the growth is significant, and it doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon. So now what I want you to do is share with you a couple of pictures of our Kyrie School. Again, this is an elementary school that's already under development. This was actually one of the last projects of the prior bond, and we are actually building this elementary school. This is our Montessori campus will start here, as well as there may be other elementary programming, but the Kyrie School is actually it's downtown, the heart of Crowley. As you cross the bridge over by H.F. Stevens going into the downtown Crowley, you'll see the new neighborhood. Actually, last week last week and the week before, they had 2 model homes. Now there's like 6 model homes going up, and it's growing really fast. We have started on construction of this school, and we're looking forward to this being our elementary 16. You heard in the bond that we also have 3 other elementary schools in this bond program, and so you'll see other plans for those as well. But again, you'll see different pictures of Kyrie School. We're excited about this school, and we think that there may be some economies of scale that we'll be able to use by prototyping, but we do think that that's going to be a nice school that we'll be able to model as we go forward. Kind of really model also along the lines of June Davis as well. So there was a question in the chat that the next slide will help us to answer that as we begin to talk about the finances of the bond. So the first thing I want to make sure is that you understand that there are parts of the tax rate that we have control over, and then other parts of tax implications that we don't have. We do have control over the Crowley ISD tax rate, and since 2017, we have reduced the tax rate for our homeowners by over 23 cents, or by 23 cents. And so 2017, the tax rate was $1.67. Today it's $1.44. And so we have done that on a consistent basis, because what we know is that growth is occurring, improvements are occurring in this area. And so what we want to do is be good stewards and continue to reduce our tax rate as much as we could. We also go above and beyond that as a district, and we offer a 10% homestead exemption for homeowners. And that is the highest in Tarrant County. Most districts have stopped doing this just because the district is really giving a discount to people who live in that district. But we felt like it's something that we've done and we want to continue to do, just to show that we are good stewards within our district. So we've been fiscally responsible by making sure that we keep the tax rate low and we reduce the tax rate when we possibly can. But the question is, there was a question in the chat that really the question was, how will we pay for this if we have such a large number of socioeconomic or economically disadvantaged students? How do we pay for this? Well, you heard in the video that we'll be able to pay for this entire bond without having any tax rate increase, or with being able to maintain our current tax rate. And the way we'll pay for is that as all these people are moving in, and these businesses and corporations are moving in, understand we have 55 square miles. And so as they move in, then that actually helps to increase our property values, and the assessed values, as they increase, will actually allow for us to be able to keep the tax rate where it is and collect enough through the taxes in order to pay for the bond. And so our property values have gone up from 6 billion to 10.6 billion. And that increase in property value is what allows us to actually pay for the bond. And so we don't have to raise the taxes at the school district in order to pay for it. You know, one thing that's so important, this plan that we're sharing with you, and it was actually a community-driven plan. It was made up. We had a committee that was made up of parents, grandparents, business leaders. I mean, you can see all the names there. What we wanted to do is make sure that this was something that the community wanted, the community could own, the community could be a part of, and they were a part of that through a process of about a year, a little less than a year, but they really kind of really leaned in and had opportunity to visit our campuses, look at our finances, review all of our facility conditions, and then make some recommendations to our board. And we were excited about being able to recommend the 3 propositions that we were able to recommend as a part of this bond. So as a part of the bond, so this bond will allow us to build 8 new school buildings. And so we're excited about that. That's 3 elementary schools, a middle school, a new Crowley High on Crowley High site, a new Crowley Collegiate Academy, which will likely be on the BRJ site, and allow us to renovate into BRJ to really expand the programs we have at our Crowley Collegiate Academy. It will allow us to build a student student support and family hub. There we'll be able to have adult ed classes as well as alternative ed and just other supports for our families. It allows us to have safety and security enhancements at every campus. And this one is critical for us. If the bond were to pass, we would start on May 8th, quite frankly, working on safety and security upgrades across the board. The great thing is the board had the vision back in several months before the Uvalde to do a full-blown safety audit, and we have the audit, we have the recommendations. Now it's just a matter of us implementing. Also, facility enhancements at every campus. We want to make sure that these campuses are prepared for the next 10 years. And so there'll be upgrades with furniture and fixture and equipment and teacher materials and teacher, when I say materials, really, it's the physical plant and the furniture within teacher classrooms, the things that they use, those things will be upgraded. Also, when we talk about one of the things as we were beginning to put this bond together, the question that we had to consistently ask ourselves is, so students that are differently abled or students that have some kind of disabilities, how are we making sure that they have something that is prioritized for them? And so we came across the inclusive outdoor learning center, and this is an inclusive center that's designed for students with disabilities. Oftentimes, we spend a lot of time making facilities accessible for kids with disabilities, but we don't often build for them. We made a concerted effort to be able to build structures for them, designed for them and families. So we're excited about that opportunity as being a part of the bond project. Also, indoor and outdoor track and field complex, that's also a part of it. And then a performing and fine arts center, which would allow us to not only have major productions in the district, but also to have additional space for classes, whether it's a fine arts academy or P-Tech Academy or other really innovative programming will be able to happen on those sites. So all of those things that we have mentioned, or that I've kind of at a high level mentioned, could be paid for again because of this next slide. We'll talk about the growth, and what we have is, as we mentioned, we have 55 square miles, and we'll be able to pay for all these things with no tax rate increase. And so again, you can keep going, Kirsten. So it's important, to just drive this point home. As people move in, as we have businesses move in, our assessed value increases, and therefore funding is available for the district to do these things that we need.
Dr. McFarland, there's a great question on that note from Jason. Just I'm making sure the understanding of the increased number of residents and businesses moving in is helping make this a no tax rate increase bond. But he's asking, what happens if the housing market crashes or there's a reduction in that? Is there a possibility of funding not being in there? And talk about the safeguards in place for that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And so what happens with bond elections, the community actually authorizes with the bond, the passing of the bond, you would actually be given the district authorization to issue the bonds. Basically, you give us permission to do it, but we can't necessarily go forward and issue the bonds until the capacity is actually present. So just because we approve X number of dollars for bond funding, we can't. The state has a governor or calculator or formula that will not allow us to issue any more bonds than the local assessed property value can afford. So let's just say, for example, if we say we can issue $500 worth of bonds, you give us, excuse me, if you say you all have the authorization to issue $500 worth of bonds, but our assessed value is only 200, then even though the voters approve 500, we can only issue 200. Now, when our value goes up and we're able to do 500, then we can go forward and issue the other 300, but because the community has already given us permission to be able to make that decision when the local capacity or the assessed value allows us to do that. Our current assessed value right now and what we're anticipating in the future it will allow us to actually authorize the entire amount of the bonds that we have right now and to move forward if we felt the need to. So the total amount will be paid for by the growth in assessed values. All right.
I also had a question just about the high schools. Ms. Brown was asking how many high schools there are. And then Ms. Stanton, I believe, was asking about the expected completion date for that Crowley High School replacement campus.
All right. So really, so two questions. So right now we have two comprehensive high schools. We have North Crowley and Crowley High. They're just comprehensive, meaning they're regular high schools, regular traditional high schools. Both campuses have a 9th grade campus. And so Crowley High has a 9th grade campus and then a 10-11 campus. North Crowley has a 9th grade campus and a 10-11 campus. Excuse me, not 10-11, 10-11 and 12 campus. Yeah, both of them have 10-11 and 12 campus. Now, what we also have is we have Crowley Collegiate Academy. Crowley Collegiate Academy is also considered a high school. It is 9 through 12, and it is housed at the Bill R. Johnson Career Technology Center in one wing, and it's about 500 or so students that are part of CCA. We also have the Bill R. Johnson Career Technology Center, which is a facility where students from both high schools actually attend BRJ, and so that would be also a facility for high school students. But to your question, we have two comprehensive high schools, and then we have kind of specialty schools as a variation. Now, all of our students are enrolled in either Crowley High or North Crowley High.
Great. We also have a question from Ms. Tate about Crowley ISD, and in the past, we've been an open enrollment district, and she's wondering if that will remain, especially with all the growth happening.
Well, that's a great question. And so actually around October of this year, we actually began to close our campus and restrict enrollment because we saw the growth occurring. And so, quite frankly, we won't be a closed campus, because if you close, that means nobody can come. However, we will be really restrictive on how and who, because we have, if there's a teacher or if there's a extenuating circumstance, we may accept students from outside of our district. But right now, we'll be reserving the majority of our seats for those students that are in our district. But we're not officially closed, but we are really restricting the seats for students that are moving into our area and living in our zone.
And Dr. Frum, apologies, I think I cut you off before we could talk about that completion date of Crowley High School's new building.
Yeah, so the thing is with Crowley, that's another situation where with Crowley building, the high school, because of how we're going to be staging it and how we'll be building that, we would actually start on the design of Crowley High very soon after the passage of the bond. If the bond were to pass in May, we would start the design. That normally takes 6 to 8 months to really design the building, and then another 20 months, almost 24 months to build the building. So we're really thinking about 24 months from the day. Today is 2023. 24 months would be 2025. Probably 2026 would be the earliest, but we would have to get started today in order to meet that timeline.
Wonderful. And we have a question from Miss Davis asking about those security enhancements that are happening at every school across the district. She's wondering if that would include metal detectors.
It absolutely could. I mean, it absolutely could. There are several that we are considering in our security report or audit. They basically made several recommendations, having secure vestibules, making sure that we are having technology that lets us know when doors are propped open or when doors are not open. We're already installing those things. But one thing that a lot of times we don't think about is when these schools were built, we built them as community schools. Like we wanted to build a school with a playground so that outside of school hours, the neighborhood and the parents and everybody could use the facilities afterwards. Well, what we now have is we have playgrounds that are lacking fencing. And so we want to make sure that we have secure playgrounds and that we have security across the board. And so all of the security enhancements that you're hearing about are being considered. We do use metal detectors at major events, and it may be a situation where we begin to use them on a regular basis. But this bond will allow us to address security issues like that.
Right. We've had a question about pay for our employees, specifically paraprofessionals. Can you talk about what our school board administration has been looking at when it comes to pay for our employees?
Absolutely. One of the things is, so we were talking to Dr. Berry, our chief of human resources today, because we're in the process right now of reviewing compensation, reviewing the support that's being provided to our employees and all of those things. And so one thing that we know is that regardless of the bond, we know that we need to address paraprofessional pay, working conditions, and all that. So we're working on that right now. We are anticipating addressing paraprofessional pay. We're benchmarking, which means we're looking at other paraprofessionals across the region to make sure that we're compensating our employees at high levels based on their category. But quite frankly, their pay is not connected directly to this bond. We can't use the bond to pay for employees, but we can use it for capital improvements. But what we are doing is we'll be addressing paraprofessional pay just through our regular budget process, and it's ongoing right now.
You talked in the presentation tonight about that 10% homestead exemption and how Crowley ISD is the only district in Tarrant County that offers the 10%. One participant tonight asked about when did that start, and they don't see it on those property value notices that just came out this past week from Tarrant Appraisal District. And so just talking about the history of that and what they can do to make sure they're getting that.
So yeah, it's been in place for a while. I'm not sure if Ms. Adrian is on, but we can maybe give you the exact date. I do believe it was sometime in the early, I think it was around early. Actually, Kirsten, let's do this. Let's put the response to that question in our question and answers, because I want to give them the exact time it started. I know it was before I got here for sure, before 2017, probably around 2010, but we'll follow back up to that one. But you asked about that. What was the other question, Kirsten?
And how they can make sure they're getting it. This week, Tarrant Appraisal District sent out the property value notices. But like on your tax bill also, you can make sure that you are getting that 10% homestead exemption.
Yeah, it's important that you look at your bill and you see, and if it's not there, it may be because you need to fill the form out in order to get the homestead exemption. It's one of those where if you own property, you own a home, then you can get that homestead exemption if you don't have another home declared as a homestead. So that's something that I would look at that form and maybe even call the Tarrant County Appraisal District and ask them about, do you qualify for it? And if so, what do you need to do to get it? Very simple process. Let's just fill out the form, you turn it in, and you get 10% off your taxes.
And then I know on our next slide, Dr. McFarland, we have some important information about early voting dates and locations. Many of our schools across the district are going to have voting during early voting and on May 6th election day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Can you go back for a slide, Kirsten? I want to just kind of make this point though. You've heard about the bond. I've told you a little bit about it. You probably heard you received phone calls and hopefully pamphlets, flyers, and all that. the main things I want you to realize, though, is that like this is a community-driven plan, like a group of community leaders, just like you and parents, got together and we said, okay, for the next 10 years, what kind of facilities will we need in order to educate our students at a high level? And so they put together this plan. It was a community-driven plan. Safety and security is top of mind across the board. I want my 2 girls to be safe. I know you want your children to be safe. And I want to make sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can to make sure they are safe from a physical plant standpoint, a building standpoint, capacity standpoint. We want to do that. This bond allows us to make some improvements, make some modifications in areas that we need in order to make sure that we have done what we can to mitigate any kind of major incidents. The plan is going to address student growth. What we know is 2028 will be here before you know it. And so we know that the students are coming, the families are coming, and it's important for us to have the facilities in place to be able to address them. Again, we made a point to constantly say that we'll be able to maintain our current tax rate. And so the total price of the bond for all 3 propositions, there are 3 propositions, all 3 of them will be paid for by the growth if we could, based on us maintaining the current tax rate. And here's the deal, we're already at the maximum tax rate. Like we cannot increase our tax rate even if we wanted to. We're at the $1.50 cap. And so what I just want you to know is that we can't raise the tax rate. We couldn't do it even if we wanted to. If we didn't have the growth, then we would have to come up with a different way to address the challenges, because we can't raise the tax rate. As long as the area continues to grow, we can pay for the improvements, and that's how we're going to pay for it. And what's important is that every student in every school is going to be impacted, and then again, the assessed value will cover the cost of this bond. We think it's definitely a plan that will address the needs of our students, and we hope that you all are able to see that, and hope that we're able to answer any questions. We do want to show you a couple places, a couple key information about the early voting location. We want to make it very convenient for all of our parents and for our stakeholders to be able to vote. And so early voting starts April the 24th, which is next week, actually. It starts next Monday, and it'll go through May 2nd. And we're encouraging people to vote early, avoid the lines. Bill R. Johnson CTE Center, we have early voting there on that site. We also have early voting at North Crowley High School. And so those are 2 locations on the blue and the purple side, to where hopefully we make it really convenient for our parents and stakeholders to vote. Also on election day, which is May 6th, we have voting at Bill R. Johnson and North Crowley, but also Crowley 9th, and then Meadow Creek Elementary, Oakmont, and then also Parkway. We think it's important for us to make voting as easy as possible for our parents. And so we've been very intentional about that. There are other voting locations, but these are the voting locations that are within Crowley ISD that we highly encourage you to vote. We highly encourage you to vote during early voting, and to do it as early as possible. So really, in a nutshell, that is the state of the district. That's who we are, what we've done, what we are doing right now, and what we're planning for the future. And we just, like I said earlier, I'm just thankful that you've given us an opportunity to work with your children. And so let's stop now, Kirsten, and see if we have any questions. We'd love to take questions from the group.
We got some great questions coming tonight. Thank you all for taking the time to type those in. Right now, there aren't any in there, but we also wanted to put a plug in just for our website and social media. We covered a lot of topics tonight, but there's even more resources on there. There's an FAQ page. There's other videos about the community driven plan and the people that were part of creating the bond package, and also some information about that 0 tax rate increase, because we know there are a lot of questions about that. So continue to check back there for other resources as we get closer to early voting and election day. And we will continue to provide a lot of important information there. Another question just popped in the chat, Dr. McFarland. Will this plan be able to make our athletic programs more attractive and more competitive for districts such as Aledo?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, one of the things is when you look at our facilities, they matter. And so we think that of course, our multi-purpose stadium allows us not only to have football games, but soccer games and band competition, and it's attractive to families. We know that with having a stadium, having a track, that will be helpful as well. And so we definitely feel like it will help us. When you look at our middle schools and high schools, our middle schools and our JV and 9th grade, we won district in several of the competitions against Aledo and the other districts. And so we feel like we're headed in the right direction for sure.
Great. Thank you for that question, Ms. Stanton. All right, no other questions have come in yet, but we'll stay open just to make sure. We also want to put a plug in. I knew you all joined tonight, but if you know friends or family members or neighbors, we're going to do more of these. We have a lunchtime Zoom this Thursday at noon. We also have some in-person events coming up. We'd love to see you in person. This Thursday night, we're going to be at First Baptist Crowley and Great Commission Baptist Church. And then the following Tuesday, we'll be at the Fountains Fellowship Church and Abundant Life Community Church. And all those are listed on our website as well.
Also, parents, again, as Kirsten mentioned, we want you to be partners. And so if there's something that we can do better, if there's something that is unclear, we welcome the feedback. We need the feedback because our aspiration is to be the best. And so we know you may see something, hear something, feel something, even think something that maybe we haven't thought of. And so we definitely want you to use the channels to contact us, to let us know. We need to help get the word out. Our goal as it relates to this bond is simply to educate people. We know the people have to vote their conscience, and we need help educating people. So if you want to help us with educating, if you want to put a sign in your yard about Crowley Pride Unified, or if you want to share some material with maybe your colleagues, then we definitely have information that we can get to you. Feel free to contact me or Mr. Kirshner or stop by the central office. We can give you any kind of paraphernalia if you're interested. We have stickers for your cars and for your refrigerators and signs for your yards and all that. We just want people to know that in Crowley ISD, we act like a family, we work like a team, and our aspiration is to be the best. So thank you all for being here tonight and for being a part.
We did get one more question from Ms. Dilworth. This is a great question. As we grow and build new schools, would school boundaries be changed, and would that be as early as next school year?
That is a great question. And the answer is that's a strong possibility, to be honest with you. It is. I don't believe, let me be clear, I don't believe we'll have to make boundary changes for August of 2023. But I do believe that we'll have to make boundary changes going into, and we would start that process in the fall, have some town halls and discussions, and announce it in January. Because what we know is, we say at 3 elementary schools, the areas that are most concerning to us, quite frankly, Deer Creek, Best Race, Deer Creek, Best Race, and SH. Those schools are a significant capacity. June Davis is significant capacity. And so it's really those schools that are on the outer parts of our district, because that's where the growth is occurring. And so what we would do is we would start looking at how we could change boundaries to leverage the challenges that we have at those campuses. But right now, I don't think we'll do it for the beginning of the school year. We'll control it. Going into the school year, we control it by staffing and how we assign folks. But going forward, we definitely will have to make some other modifications. We know that over by Alley Middle School, we own property. May 8th, we would have to start working on that elementary school that's by Alley Middle School, which will alleviate some pressure from Deer Creek, Best Race, and Sioux Crouch. Or SH, excuse me, SH.
That brings up a question as we're building new schools. Jay Herwig asked about the roads between schools, especially between Crowley and North Crowley, and the size and the condition of them. Does this bond cover roads?
Great question. So the bond really impacts school facilities. However, we are in conversation with the city of Fort Worth, because a lot of these roads are in Fort Worth city that are over around North Crowley and in that area. And so if they're not there, then they're with the county. So we're having conversations with them, but the bond does not cover the roads. That's either the county or the city of Fort Worth where those will be impacted.
And then, with new schools comes the need for new teachers. And so just a question about recruiting teachers, retaining teachers, but also training for people who may want to be substitutes. What are we doing about that?
Absolutely. We are having job fairs. We had a job fair last weekend. We'll have another one next weekend. And we're recruiting. We are signing folks up, and we're actually, taking them through our own training process. We've created a program that we call Teacher in Residence, where we're working with people who are interested in being educators. It's a great opportunity for parents or grandparents to come in and be connected with their child, and we can work on a way to have you involved and engaged. But we need subs, we need teachers, we need teacher in residence, we need teacher aides. We're looking for all of those.
All right. We're going to keep this open just a couple minutes longer, that Q&A box, just to make sure nothing else comes in. But thank you all for being here and spreading the word and telling, again, your friends and neighbors about our other meetings coming up, because we want to get as many people as possible to hear this information.
So I have one request, Kirsten, before everybody jump off. I'd like for you all to I'd like for y'all to put in the chat one thing that you heard tonight that either was something new that you learned, or something that you're excited about, or something that you're supportive of, or something that you're still concerned about. So if you can take some time in the chat and just drop in, hey, here's something new I heard, or here's something that I learned tonight, or here's something I'm excited about, or here's something that I'm still concerned about. I'd like you to drop that in. We're always searching for feedback. And so definitely, if you can give us that feedback. And then again, we will see you all. Definitely stop by if you want to help with us promoting Crowley ISD. And we thank you for your time.
People are excited about new schools in that inclusion area.
Awesome.
And the plan. The safety security protocols. People are excited about that. Facilities and the security. Absolutely.
All right.
Wow. Great stuff. Thank you, Dr. McFarland. Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate y'all.
Great evening.